Good morning and welcome to civics classes. I am here to discuss chapter number 1, that is local self-government. First and foremost, I will brief you what does the term or what does the chapter indicates, what is meant by local self-government. See, you must have heard about the central government, the state government. But what is all this, the local self-government? India is a vast country. It cannot be managed by a single person. It cannot be managed by one person who does not be present at a particular place and he can manage the affairs. It's not possible. India is a vast country which is divided into states and union territories. This division does not mean that we are divided. Its division is basically for better functioning, better applicability of the rules and regulations, better implementation of the plans and policies which the government makes. So further, one more bifurcation is there. After the central and the state, there is other bifurcations also for ease of functioning only. Like India is divided into states and union territories, the states are further subcategorized into districts. The districts are further categorized into blocks. The blocks are further categorized into villages. So whenever a plan is hosted by a government or whenever a government scheme comes out, the core idea is that the scheme should reach to the last person, means the person who resides in the village area. And we know the detail that major part of the population resides in the village. Almost 60% of the population in India resides in the village area. So it is most prominent to take care of the people who live in the rural areas. So our concern, our chapter is rural local self-government. The word rural means village. The word rural means village. So village local self-government. Now how did this idea come up? This plan or this policy was made by Mahatma Gandhi before the independence, that how we have framed a system of central government and the state government. In the similar fashion, there should be a government at the local level or at the village level. Finally, this was passed after the independence under the custody of or under the supervision of Balwant Rai Mehta, who formed a group, and he passed that a local government should be there at the village level, and this was called as Panchayati Raj. So in India, the 3-tier system of local self-government is known as Panchayati Raj. The 3-tier system we will discuss about, like Gram Panchayat at the village level, Panchayat Samiti at the block level, and Jila Parishad at the district level. So these are the 3 divisions or 3 tiers of the Indian government. Balwant Rai Mehta committee recommended the establishment of democratic decentralization. Now what is democratic decentralization? First we will understand the meaning of decentralization. What does the term decentralization means? Decentralization means when the power is given from central to state and from the state to the local government or the village government, that is called as decentralization. It means, in a very simple way, you can say shifting of powers or passing of powers from higher authority to local authority or to lower authority is called as decentralization. So democratic decentralization it is. Democratic decentralization means whatever powers are passed on, whatever powers are given, that is in a democratic style. Okay, that's in a democratic form only. Means one cannot misuse that. If a power is given to you, along with that a responsibility is also there. Along with that, you have to perform, you have to be answerable to the government whenever you commit a mistake. So democratic decentralization means powers to the government authorities are given with a concrete value that they must see that the affairs of the local people are addressed. Now, the concern is, why do we choose the local people? Or why is local government required? Do we require to appoint a local person? If yes, then why? Now, there are various reasons why we should choose the leaders or the government from the local level. See, like I gave the example in the class, even when we had a introduction class, I gave you the example. There are two persons, A and B. I'll just come to the example. Okay, I'll write here. There are two persons, person A and person B. Okay. Both these persons are born, let's say in McCluskey Ganj only. Okay. I am writing M Ganj. Both are from the same place, McCluskey Ganj. Both belong to this place only. Both are born over here. Both are studied over here. Both are resident of this place only. But once they complete their education, A goes to Mumbai. A shifts to Mumbai, whereas B decides to stay in McCluskey Ganj. Okay, once their education is complete, A goes to Mumbai for working and B resides in McCluskey Ganj only and he does the work. Now, all of a sudden there is a election is announced and these both persons stand for the election of, let's say, Panchayat, or you can say the local head in the form of Mukhya. They stand for the election over here. Both of them fulfill the criteria. They are the citizen of India. They have the concerned ages that is required for the election. So both of them are standing for the election. Now, as a citizen, as a voter, what is our responsibility? Whom we should elect? Whom should be elected? Should we choose A, who is from McCluskey Ganj only, who has studied from McCluskey Ganj, who knows McCluskey Ganj now, but he does not live over here? Shall we appoint him? Shall we vote for him? Or shall we go to the person B, who studied over here, who knows this place, who is still residing in the same place? Whom we should choose, A or B? That is our choice. See, as an alert voter, as a aware voter, I would say we should go for option B. The reason is, there is only one minute difference or a major difference, you can say. Not a minute, a major difference, that A does not reside in McCluskey Ganj now. Coming to the topic, local self-government talks about the government at the local level or at the village level. A person who does not reside to a particular place, does he know what is the current situation of that place? Does he know what are the problems the people are facing at that particular place? Does he know if there is any uncertainty, if there is any such disaster, what all concrete steps can be taken? Does he know the place in a better way? Because he is not there and many changes have been taking place every now and then. Okay, many of the buildings come up, many of the constructions come up. So does he know all the changes that have taken place? Does he is aware about what is the genuine problem which people are suffering? Because he does not reside over here now. He has gone to Mumbai for working. But due to election, now he wanted to be a representative. He has come over here. So it's our duty to choose the people who stays, who understands, who knows the area very well. So local self-government focuses on appointing the person from the local level who understands the locality in a better way, who understands what are the needs of the people and how their problems can be solved. So, the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee recommended the establishment of democratic decentralization, which is termed as PRI written, that is Panchayati Raj. Okay, I told you the three structures. The Panchayati Raj has three parts. First is Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti and Jila Parishad. We'll discuss about all these three tiers in the next chapter. In the next class, sorry. In the next class, we shall discuss in detail what are these three tiers. Now, just briefing about the homework that we are giving to you. Okay, you must be confused. First is that your unit test portion was not over and first term question answers are sent to you. The reason is it takes a lot of time in writing the question answers and we get less time to converse with each other, to communicate with each other. So the core idea behind sending the homework is so that you write down or you complete the writing part, and when you come to the classes, we'll have more time to converse with each other, we'll have more time to communicate, or we'll have more time to discuss on a particular topic with each other. Second is you just focus on a learning part if it is concerned. You have to just learn what is there for the first unit test, that is chapter 1 and chapter 2 from history and chapter 1 from civics. Okay, that is your learning part. Rest of the homework which is sent to you in my subject history and civics, that is only just for the sake of writing. You need not learn now because it is not taught. One more concern is I got several phones from some of you that many answers are lengthy or many points are there. Shall we learn all of them? In the class even I said, see the available options I have given you, available answers I have given you. Now it's your choice. Suppose if a question number 1 has 5 different subdivisions, or 5 heads are given. Okay, out of that any 3 should be learned. Whichever is easier one, you go for that and learn any 3. Do not mug up with everything, do not learn everything that is given to you. Okay, so maximum points to keep in mind is 3. Maximum 3 points you have to learn. Okay, no matter even if I give 7 points, 8 points, you choose out of that any 3. Your answer is complete. And if you write in your own words also, that will be much better. The marks will be given to you. What matters is what language you have used and how far you are correct with your grammar. So this is all. In the next class we shall meet again. Take care. Thank you.